Well, welcome to Beyond Limits, the podcast for ambitious coaches and consultants who are ready to scale their business to six and multi six figures and beyond, all while building a life that they truly love without the burnout. I'm Melissa Hausman, your six figure success coach, sales specialist, busy mom of two amazing kids, wife, and dog lover. And I have been right where you are, juggling a 9 to 5, relentless ambition, and the desire to build a thriving business that not only generates revenue, but creates real freedom. So, on this show, we dive deep into the strategies that help you scale your coaching business to consistent 20K months and beyond. We cover everything from mastering high ticket offers and sales to refining your mindset, streamlining your systems, and building a business that thrives without compromising your well being. So, if you're ready to elevate your business, break through the growth barriers, and step into the next level of success, you are in the right place. And today I am thrilled to introduce you to Kaitlin Lee, an expert in email marketing strategy who helps entrepreneurs turn their email lists into powerful revenue generating assets. Kaitlin's journey started when she noticed a common problem. So many brilliant business owners were stuck on the social media hamster wheel, constantly creating content, but struggling to see consistent revenue. And she knew there had to be a better way. That's when she built ThinkCate, a company dedicated to helping coaches and consultants create email marketing systems that feel personal, strategic, and effortless. So, if you've ever felt like your email list was too small to matter or struggled with what to send, Kaitlin is here to change the game for you. So I cannot wait for you to hear her insights. Kaitlin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Melissa, thanks so much for having me today. Super excited to be here and chat all things email marketing.
Of course. So I want to start with your story. Can you share with the listeners today what led you to specialize in email marketing and why are so many entrepreneurs leaving money on the table with their email lists?
Yeah, so I actually got my start in the online business world as a VA. So I was helping entrepreneurs with, everything under the sun behind the scenes, right? So like course creation, social media, and of course, emails. So as I was working with these different entrepreneurs, I realized that there was this common pattern. Either they had no email list at all and they were completely relying on social media to generate all of their sales, or they had an email list because they'd been told they should build one. We all hear it's the only thing you own, you need to grow one. So they had this list and then they were doing nothing with it. So maybe they had lead magnets, they had people joining, and then it just ended there. So that's when I really dove headfirst into email marketing. And I was really determined to create a simple but repeatable strategy that could take away that overwhelming piece of deer in headlights. What do I send? When do I send it? And actually get real results for entrepreneurs.
I love it that you started as a VA. I actually didn't know that about you, and that you were able to look inside so many different businesses and see like what was actually missing. Like that is so powerful to have that insight. Um, so you talked a little bit about like so many coaches are relying heavily on social media, but then they're struggling to turn followers into actual paying clients. So I want to talk a little bit about like how can you leverage email marketing effectively, and maybe especially like in the very beginning for people who have that email list that you talked about, but they're really not nurturing it. So what are some strategies that they can do to utilize that email list and not have to rely so much on social media?
Yeah, so I think it's easy to fall into that social media trap of, so we're always on social, we're posting, and it really is a great place for visibility, but it's just ultimately not where people are making most of their buying decisions. I mean, think about your own mindset when you're on social, kind of just scrolling through, casual. You're in a different headspace than when you're in your inbox thinking about purchasing or kind of sorting through information. It's a different type of thinking. So, as far as some strategies for people to use when it comes to social media to email, is I would actually use your social media platforms as the primary generator of building your email list. So, think of your social media as kind of this introduction, and your email list is the place to take things deeper. So, like social starts the ball rolling, and then your email list is where we really drive it home. We can build deeper relationships. And some of my top strategies for doing this is to start out with a really solid welcome sequence. So, a lot of people have lead magnets, and then they download the lead magnet, they join their list, and then it just ends there. There's no follow up, there's no extra communication. So, really leaning into setting up at least 3 emails that add on, they introduce who you are, they give even more value than that initial lead magnet to deepen that trust and show people, hey, this person really knows what they're doing. They can really help me.
I love that so much. Like it starts with that lead magnet and then it gets them into the email list. And then a lot of people are like, phew, I'm done. Like they're on my email list and now like, awesome, I can start selling directly to them, right? But what I'm hearing from you is that we need to take it even a step further and nurture them a little bit longer inside that first initial funnel. Um, so you mentioned like 2 or 3 additional emails after they get that lead magnet. Do you have any like special um, types of emails that you like to include in that welcome sequence?
Yeah, so after the initial email that delivers that freebie, whatever your lead magnet is, the next email that you send, I recommend this be something that introduces your story, but in a way that makes it relevant to the audience. So it's not just a time for you to share your whole life story, where you've been. Your audience needs to see themselves in your journey. Maybe you've been where they were and you can show them, hey, I totally understand this struggle. Here's what I've done to get out of it. And then the third email that I typically follow up with is then just a simple value add. So let's say they download a lead magnet on, for email marketing, let's say they're downloading some templates. This next email would be something that then takes it further. If their templates were about repurposing content, maybe this next email helps them find more ideas that they could repurpose. We want to add on before we've even introduced an offer.
I love that so much. Like value add, nurturing, right? It's the same as, you meet somebody in the DMs. You're not just going to sell to them the very first day that you meet them. You want to like nurture that relationship and provide so much more value. And I love that having that same mindset with the email list is really important. Selling too soon is really off-putting to people.
Yes. And as I mentioned, the email list is a place of trust, right? Somebody's giving you that spot in their inbox, in their phone. So we don't want to abuse that. We want to make sure that we're really leaning into creating that trust, that relationship before we're asking for something in return.
Okay, so many coaches that I work with, like email list is pretty brand new to them, or maybe they have started one, but they've just really not nurtured it. And most of the coaches and entrepreneurs that I've worked with feel like their email list is really small, like way too small to matter. So, how do you help entrepreneurs turn even a small audience into a profitable one?
Yes, I hear this one all the time too. People will tell me, I just started growing it. I'll work on it later once I have more people. But I think we forget that even if it is a small list, if you have 50 people, those are 50 people that have raised their hands and said, hey, I'm interested in what you have to say and how you can solve my problem. So waiting to nurture those can actually really hurt that relationship and your business, because those are people that are active, they're warm, they're ready for your help. So really leaning into not delaying, and a small list can actually be an advantage because your list is smaller, which means you can specifically send messages to that small audience that are really going to land. You can ask for replies. You can really get those conversations going. And because you're not sending to 10,000 people, you'll have the bandwidth to be able to respond engage, and like really build on a true relationship with that audience. I've actually seen firsthand how a small list can be just as profitable as a big one. I had less than 100 people on my email list. And when I started implementing my signature process, I was able to consistently start booking calls just by nurturing these relationships and starting those conversations.
I love that so much. And I love that you put like, you can ask them to reply back to you. And that's something you just can't do when you have 4,000, 6,000, 10,000 people or more on your email list. And I think that when you have anywhere from, I don't know, maybe even up to like 500 people, you can ask for those replies back and then follow up with people who actually take the time to reply back. And I think that there's a way that you can phrase emails that feel really personal to someone. Um, that will drive that response back. And maybe you can like talk a little bit about this, but one thing that I love to do inside my email list is look at who's clicking on or opening my emails. To me, that is a signal of somebody who has more interest, right? And so I send those individuals like truly personal emails. And that has really improved my own sales and deepen the relationship with people that I have on my email list.
Yes, I love that. You bring up a great point because the people who are engaging, are they clicking? Are they opening? That's showing us our warmest audience, the people that are truly in need of what we have to offer. And I love that you follow up personally. And I think there could even be like an automation piece behind that. You could still craft an email to go out, like if they click on a certain thing or for those that do open. And it could trigger a send that is still personal, but you wait for that reply. And then those people, you start the conversation yourself, just so that that could take a little bit off of your plate of having to do every single step manually.
Oh my gosh, anything you can automate, especially when you're running solo in your business, is beautiful. So I feel like you should do a whole masterclass on how to automate like a next level of email to someone.
I love that. I think
Yes,
I'm going to write that down.
write it down. Yes. Okay, so one of the biggest struggles for coaches is inconsistent income. Like you have a high month and you have a low month, and it kind of ebbs and flows. So, share a little bit like how can email marketing create more predictable revenue streams to support coaches' goals of hitting consistent 10K months and 20K months and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely. So email really is the prime place for selling. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but the stats show that people are 3 times more likely to purchase from an email than from a social media post. So it's a really powerful place for us to be selling. But as we've kind of talked about, we can't just jump straight into sales. So I think the email list is a great place to balance out kind of those mountains and valleys, because you can strategically nurture your list. So the way I like to think about it is your email list is one large funnel. When people join, we want to start with that welcome sequence, but then we want to strategically nurture, planning backwards from what we're selling. So if you know you're going to be launching a new offer soon, you want to show up and you want to provide content that builds trust, that is shifting beliefs, right? Asking people to change what they're thinking about something. Maybe they have a common belief that you're like, hey, I do this different. It doesn't have to be this difficult. Busting those objections, right? Things you already know people are going to be thinking, oh, I don't know, is now the right time? Nurturing them by showing them examples of how easy or how different it can be than what they think. And then when it's time to sell, you're not forcing anything. Your audience is primed. They've heard the value that you've added. You've shown them transformation stories. And it's a simple sell because you're not convincing, you're not pushing. You can just do a simple 5-day sequence and people will be ready to buy.
I love that so much. And this is something maybe a month ago, I ran a special in my own business and I made $9,000 in 3 emails. And of course, it didn't take just 3 emails, right? It took like months and months and months of nurturing and then running a 48-hour special. Like people are already knowledgeable and they're ready to say yes. So that's the power of nurturing first and then selling later. So amazing. Like I love that so much.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of, it's so easy to be like, oh, this one sequence made me all this money. But you're exactly right. There's so much behind the scenes, so much trust building ahead of time that has to happen in order for you to just see those overnight sales.
Okay, so selling through email can feel overwhelming and it feels maybe even pushy for some entrepreneurs. So, how do you help your clients craft emails that feel authentic and also convert?
Yeah, so selling definitely in email, I think we can get into our own head, right? And I think shifting first the mindset of selling is never about convincing. We're simply inviting the right people at the right time. Kind of like a dinner party, you wouldn't just go out onto the street and like invite random strangers. You would invite people that you know. Sorry. And not every person would say yes, right? They might have other plans. They might not like whatever you're serving at the dinner party, but the right people are going to be absolutely ready to show up, to join, to purchase. So inside my programs, I teach different copywriting techniques and different frameworks that really lean into making those sales emails feel personal, but really just more of an invitation so that they don't have to feel pushy and forced.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And again, like when you are a brand new coach, like email can feel super overwhelming. And working with someone like you, Kaitlin, who can give them those templates and say, like, this is kind of how it should be crafted, how it should be worded. Now go in and put your personal touch on things is going to be so helpful and so powerful. And the more you practice, right, the better you get. And I know for myself, like where my welcome sequence started a couple of years ago is like night and day difference to where it is right now. And so, yeah, talk to me a little bit about like how you can kind of send similar sequences over and over and just continue to improve them over time.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my favorite things. Much like you, my welcome sequence, I look back at the first one and I kind of cringe at just how it was not the right messaging, not how I wanted to show up for my subscribers, right? And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of email is you really can repurpose a lot of what you've already done and take things over time, right? You have to find your voice. You have to see what resonates. And as you start watching what lands, what people are opening, what they're clicking on, that's when you really can lean in and say, okay, I'm going to optimize this sequence to work even harder for me. And then you could use it in a different way. So, like you mentioned, your sales sequence, you can use that in the future in an automated capacity or tweak it slightly for a different offer. And I think there's a lot inside of email that we don't always have to start from scratch. We can tweak, fine tune, and repurpose to meet our goals without always feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so I know this next question is something that I personally like struggled with for a really long time and it almost paralyzed me in a way. So a lot of coaches they worry about sending too many emails and like it annoying their list. So what's your take on email frequency and how do you keep your audience engaged without burning them out?
Yes. Okay. Love this question. So I hear this a lot. It's a really common fear of, I don't want to bother people. I get so many emails. I don't want to be that person. And I totally get it. Because we do get inundated with emails, but I really think that the sweet spot that I found for myself and for most coaches is about one email a week. I think a simple touch point. And I think there can kind of be a misconception that these emails that we're sending to nurture have to be these huge newsletters with all this information. And really, I like to kind of shift people's thinking and ask them to consider what if it could just be a simple touch point where you share a quick win, or a quick client story. Here's a strategy that my client used. Here was the outcome. Give it a try. It's a simple way to kind of keep yourself top of mind, build that relationship without overwhelming you or your audience.
Yeah, that's so good. Like, so one nurture email a week, which just continues to build that relationship with them so that when you put out a sales email sequence, it's not feeling like overwhelming to them because they hear from you frequently, in a non-salesy way also.
Yes, you're showing up with that value. And you asked about engagement. I think a great way to increase the engagement and not make it feel so like you're talking at them. We've talked about like replies. That's a great way to say, hey, if you try this, let me know. Or which of these three things will you try first? And even incorporating polls. That's something that I've kind of been trying out in my own strategy. What do you want to hear more about this? Which of the following would help you on X topic? And even something just random off the wall, getting people to engage and also really setting that expectation up front. So in my welcome sequence, I let people know every Thursday, I'll be dropping into your inbox with tips for you so that they already know I'm going to be showing up. It'll be on Thursdays, once a week, kind of leads into people already understand what's going to be happening.
I love that. One of the creators that I love to follow, he sends out like a live newsletter instead of like a written format. And there's some words that go along with it. But I love how he does this because it is just a quick, like 4-minute video that he records, and it's always such a valuable tip. So that's another way that you can get into people's inboxes and give value without asking for anything. And maybe if you have, you're on a podcast or you've ran a webinar, you can send out a copy of those things as an email that's providing a long form, type of value to your audience.
Absolutely. Always repurposing, right? Thinking of people who weren't able to attend live, really increasing the value that you can share through sending that out. I love that. Yeah, videos do really well in emails. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so you've worked with many entrepreneurs to help build successful email systems. So, can you share a success story with us of someone who you've worked with who really struggled to see revenue growth, and then, had great outcomes after working together?
Yeah, so my favorite story is, or one of my favorite stories is actually my own. This is the moment that I knew that my system was going to work. I had a relatively small email list, and like I mentioned, I was really on a mission to set up this system and make it simple, repeatable. And I started using it, and within a few months, I had made $5,000 directly from my email list with just a few hundred people on it. So within those few months, it was over a 4,200% ROI. And that's when I was like, okay, you don't need a huge audience. Email is reliable. And I've seen similar transformations with clients too. So people boosting their confidence, knowing what to send, and really seeing increases in their open rates and their sales as well.
4,200% ROI. Like, that's amazing, Kaitlin. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
love that success story. Okay, so tell us about your programs because that is like amazing segue into what you offer and how you help people. So, how does Soul and Systems help entrepreneurs see, create sustainable, high converting email strategies? And what results can clients expect when they work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Soul and Systems Academy is my signature program where I work with entrepreneurs to teach them how to build their email list if they're starting from scratch and their strategy. So I walk you through everything from setting up a high converting lead magnet, getting the right people on your list, the strategic way you're going to nurture them so that they're always feeling as like it's a true relationship and building value and trust so that when it's time to sell, it feels easy and doesn't feel forced. What people can expect to get out of it is a simple, repeatable framework that they can feel confident in. No more blank screen syndrome. What do I send? Frozen at the keyboard. and a system that truly works without taking up all of their time.
Sounds amazing. I'm like, where was Kaitlin when I was first starting? Like that would have been so helpful to me. And I know that that your program is so powerful and you're helping so many people. So if you are looking for this kind of support, like definitely connect with Kaitlin because she is phenomenal at what she does. So Kaitlin, before we wrap up, I want you to have an opportunity to share where can people connect with you? And do you have any upcoming programs or opportunities for people to work with you?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn, so connect with me there. I'd love to hear from you guys. I post every day, Monday through Friday. I share email marketing tips to make things simple and ditch that overwhelm of, oh my gosh, what do I send? How do I use this list? And also next Tuesday, April 1st, I am hosting a free live masterclass for service-based business owners, so like coaches, consultants, to help teach you the 3 key things you need for an easy, sustainable, and most importantly, profitable email list.
That is amazing. So I think I might sign up for that myself because it sounds awesome. So thank you so much for being here, Kaitlin. I have absolutely loved this conversation, and it really highlights something that so many coaches overlook, that your next client probably isn't hiding in your next social media post, right? They are probably already on your email list, waiting to connect with you in a more intentional and driven way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. So, okay, if today's episode inspired you to finally tap into the power of systems and sustainable strategies like email marketing, then I would love to invite you into my 6 Figure Success program for driven coaches. It's a high touch experience designed to help you build a thriving coaching business that consistently brings in 10K to 20K months without burning you out. So inside my program, you'll master how to attract premium clients, how to scale with high ticket offers, and how to sell with confidence and integrity so that you can consistently generate the revenue that you desire. So you can apply now for one of these 5 spots at www.melissahausman.com/6FS application. And if email marketing is on your radar or it has been sitting on your to-do list forever, you won't want to miss Kaitlin's free upcoming live masterclass, Email Marketing Made Easy. So don't forget that you can grab all of the links and resources from today's episode in the show notes below. So you have just wrapped up another episode of Beyond Limits, and I am so glad that you joined us today. If today's episode inspired you or gave you a fresh perspective on building your business, mastering high ticket offers, and scaling to 6 figures, I'd love to keep the conversation going. You can head on over to my LinkedIn page to connect, dive deeper into strategies, and find more tips to grow your coaching business. Also, don't forget to follow this show so that you never miss an episode. And if you love what you hear, I'd be so grateful if you left a quick rating or review. It helps other driven coaches find the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep dreaming big, selling high, and scaling even higher.